Let's look at cost justification and how AI can help us with that. In this class, what you'll learn and be able to use and also teach include the fundamentals of cost justification, finding the real buyer, because we don't want to do a cost justification for an influencer. We need to find the real buyer. The importance of a needs analysis and a feature benefit analysis. Both of those are important in trying to do a cost justification. And then how do we sell to multiple buyers? And we'll look at a practical case study with a portable tool that you can take with you anywhere you go. Let's get started. When we look at cost justification, we need to remember this is not price justification, it's cost justification. We're not trying to justify our price. Customers don't buy on price, they buy based on perceived value, and this begins with pre-call planning. If we don't do sufficient pre-call planning, the probability that we're going to be able to do an effective cost justification goes down. AI may be able to help, and in fact, in many ways, it will be able to help. The more you use AI in doing your cost justifications based on your industry, market, and situation, the more you will find that it can help. Business function selling, which is another class in this course, will help you significantly. You may need more than one buyer involved. The larger the sale, the more likely it is it's going to involve multiple buyers. And you may want others on your team to help. As I mentioned earlier, I never made a significant sale in my career with the largest corporation in the world by myself. I always had help, but help was always available. They had 1 million employees. In your organization, don't be shy about asking for help. So we can go to AI and ask it, what does it cost a company to replace and whatever your product or service is? For instance, if you were an employment agency and you were going to help a client replace one of their employees, what's that going to cost the client? Well, they may have to pay something to let the other employee go, and then they bring on your person. And what else? Well, they have to train the person. And what else? There's a ramp-up time. And what else? They may be partnered with someone else and their productivity is going to go down. And what else? As you continue to ask the and what else, the buyer begins to realize there's more to the cost than the price. What are the 3 primary cost factors for purchasing a whatever you sell? And AI will give you some ideas. You might want to ask for 7 and just pick the 3 that are most relevant for your organization. What are the cost benefits for using your product if the customer isn't using anything now, or the cost benefit of using your product rather than the competition's? So who is the real buyer? The larger the sale, the more likely multiple buyers will be involved. In the big deals, there's typically a committee, there's more people. You want to reach as many of them as possible. If they don't all attend your sales presentation, you may want to look at blended selling to develop a tool that your contact can use to do your selling for you when they're in front of the other people. Each person's criteria must be met. If you have 3 people at the table that's representing the client's organization, you will do 3 presentations, and you may need as many as 3 cost justifications. Now, this includes their perception of your price. Their perception of your price is based on their perception of the value of your product or service, but also their perception of the quality of your organization. And that quality can be represented by the quality of your presentation. So there's more here than just showing up and throwing up and showing your product or service. You want to be as comprehensive as possible, as ubiquitous as possible. Customers do not buy on price. They buy based on perceived cost, not real cost, perceived cost. So their perception of your price is going to be balanced against the perceived cost of their problem or the perceived cost of your solution. So what's the difference in cost and price? The item with the lowest price tag often costs the most. You pay a few dollars more and the product will last significantly longer. You pay a few dollars more and the product will do even more for you. So you want to keep that in mind. In your pre-call planning, develop a targeted cost justification for each person's role. That may change during the sales cycle or during the sales process, but you want to make sure that you've thought this through in your pre-call planning. For example, if someone from operations is going to be involved, talk about productivity and quality. If someone from marketing is going to be involved, talk about market appeal. And there's usually someone from finance involved. There you want to talk about ROI, return on investment. So when we look at step 1, you want to conduct a needs analysis. Do your pre-call planning and then conduct a needs analysis. Does the customer perceive they want or need your solution? And then, does the customer understand what the real need is, and do you understand? One of your opening questions will need to be, who else will be involved in this decision? We've all had the experience where the person said, I am the decision maker, and when it came time to sign the contract, they had to go upstairs and get a signature. If you have 3 people at the table representing the buyer's organization, ask each one of them what their 3 to 5 expectations are of your product or service, or the value of your product or service, or their expectations for solving the problem. Qualify each one as reasonably as possible by using a question like, well, how will this help you? How will this help your division? How will this help your department? Quantify each one. How do you measure success? And as you present your solution, you want to build on what each person's hot buttons are and what the quantified value will be to them. Then you can review your feature-benefit analysis. I use feature-benefit solution product to find as many ways as you can to help each person. Instead of saying this will increase your productivity, will it also increase quality? Instead of stopping when you realize you can increase their productivity, continue to probe. Will you also be able to increase their quality? And will the bottom line impact be positive? So you look at each of your features and determine what the benefits are. Then you look at each benefit and determine what solutions they could offer to your buyers. And then you look at those solutions, and all you want to know now is, what's the problem? What is the customer's problem? You take their problem, find a solution based on a benefit of, one of the features of, by the way, my product or service. How many ways can you help each person? And then prioritize the results. Make sure you're taking copious notes if that's practical. Then present them in order of impact. This will increase your productivity by 3% and at the same time eliminate your errors by 1%. And just go right down the list. These are all the things it can do for you. Then stop when the buyer is satisfied. Do not sell beyond the close. When they're ready to buy, stop, close, put it all together. Here's a case study scenario that kind of puts all this in order. Let's say that you sell replacement gears for widget machines. Widget machines have a primary gear that fails over time just due to normal wear and tear, and so widget manufacturers keep replacement gears on the shelf. You call on a widget manufacturer who has 60 of these machines in their operation, and you would like to replace their current provider, the people that are currently providing their replacement gears. The buyer is currently paying $300 for their gears, but your gears are $600. How will you cost justify your gears over that $300 gear? Well, let's take a closer look. I call this the back-of-the-envelope approach because anywhere you go, if you've got something to write on and something to write with, you've got the tool. This is one of the handiest cost justification tools I have seen. Take the envelope or the piece of paper, draw 2 vertical lines, and make 3 columns. Label the first column Issue, because you can use this for a lot of different purposes. Right now we're going to use it for cost justification. In the center column, label that one Qualify with an L, Qualify, and the right-hand column is Quantify. The magic behind this tool is we go all the way down the left-hand column before moving to the center column, and go all the way down the center column before going to the right-hand column. So we sit down with the widget manufacturer and ask them, what are the top 3 problems facing your company right now? They know we sell gears, and so they're going to say, well, the gears break. This is critical. Remember from the class on the sales process, whenever someone answers a question, consider asking, and what else? Whenever anyone answers a question, the first words to come into our mind and probably out of our mouth are, and what else? Oh, well, our labor costs are going up. And what else? Our insurance costs are going up because we had an incident. And what else? There's some new regulations coming down. Now, why are we doing this? We want these critical issues marinating in the customer's subconscious mind as we go through the rest of this cost justification. So while we're talking about the things in column 2 and column 3, these things are going to be on their mind. So let's go back to the top. Mr. Customer and Ms. Customer, you said that when the gears break, what happens? Well, it's obvious. The machine stops. They just answered a question. We need to ask what? And what else? Well, we have people working. And what else? Well, we lose the output of the machine. And what else? Well, obviously have to replace the gear. And what else? Well, we have to have technicians replace the gear. Machine operators aren't qualified to do that. The customer knows all of this. But we're stopping at one moment in time and putting all of the issues on the table. This helps us quantify the cost of the problem. When the customer says your price is too high, too many times they're thinking, I don't think my problem is as expensive as your solution. We want to fix that. Now, we would do the same thing for labor costs, for insurance costs, and for regulations, and all this time, all these issues are marinating in the customer's mind. Now let's move in and quantify. You said the machine stops. How long is a typical stoppage when you have a gear break? The customer says 2 hours. We have a number now. We can quantify. How many operators do you have on the machine? Well, 3. That's 3 people times 2 hours. That's 6 man-hours. And let's say their weighted cost per hour is $30. And so now we have $180 in cost. What about lost output? Well, our machines produce 1,000 units per hour, and that's 2 hours, so we lose 2,000 units. We wholesale them for $1, and that would be $2,000. Now look closely at this. They have $2,000 in lost income, money coming in, and they have $180 of money going out for which they get nothing. You want to make sure you understand this so that you can make sure the customer understands the impact on their profit. And then we have to replace the gear. They're paying $300 for their gear. And then we have to have 2 technicians to replace the gear. The weighted cost per hour for a tech is $50. So 2 techs times 2 hours, 4 man-hours, $200. We add all of this up. The cost of replacing a gear is $2,680. The customer gave us the numbers, but do they realize the total cost of the problem? So there we have a cost, but where's the cost justification? Here is where your feature benefit analysis comes in. You go to the customer and say, you're currently using the Atlas gear, which is the best forged gear in the industry. How do you know that? You got it from pre-call planning. What does this tell you about the customer? They're willing to buy quality when they see the value. All they need to do is see the value and see it quantified. You would say, we are introducing a titanium gear that guarantees 2x performance. For many buyers, they would be sold at this point. Now you'll notice with these graphics, I'm not covering up the numbers. If you have the customer do the numbers on a piece of paper or on your tablet or whatever, don't ever cover up the numbers, because now the customer sees the cost of the gear is 2x, but I'm getting 2x performance, which means for an additional $300, I could save changing out a gear, which right now is $2,680, but with $300 for a gear, it would be $2,980. This is ridiculous. If I can spend $300 and save $2,680, that would seem to make a lot of sense. You could even go further and say some of our customers are realizing 3x and 4x when they do quality preventative maintenance. Now you look at your feature benefit analysis for the guarantee. From experience, you know that some of your other customers are realizing this additional savings. Would your customer that you're talking to right now do that? Of course they would, because they're buying expensive gears. They're buying the best possible gears. What we want to look at here is the total cost of the problem. And then the customer can see it makes a lot of sense to pay twice as much for a gear. And let me give you one more point as we close out. For the entire sales process, focus your thoughts on total cost of ownership, TCO, total cost of ownership. What does it cost the customer to use a $300 gear? And what does it cost the customer to use a $600 gear? Teach others.
Remember, this is a collaborative channel. Others can learn from your ideas and experiences. Teach others and learn from others using the comments section below. More classes are in production, so subscribe to be one of the first to learn and teach them as each new lesson is added, and click the like or thumbs up button as a thank you for Chuck.